deigned to notice her. They were all overlooked, of course. Kitty and her friends were rarely asked to dance at balls, or called upon by gentlemen, or asked to ride in Hyde Park, or even to afternoon teas by the diamonds of each season. We want love, even passion, and we've all endured a few seasons. We are wallflowers, with little prospect of ever attaining a well-connected match, Marianne said fiercely. The nods turned into longing sighs. Impatience burned along Kitty's nerves, and a sense of something new and wonderful hovered. If only she could reach for it. Kitty and her friends had been withering away in the temps, season by season, with no chances of improving their prospects. They were all fairly attractive, but couldn't be considered great beauties, nor were they especially accomplished, having little useful connections, and less dowries to inspire any real serious matrimonial attachments. They were generally ignored by those young gentlemen in society who were looking for a bride. Yet a lingering desire to wed and have their own families resided in each of their hearts. Or perhaps they wanted only to feel what it was like to drop the handkerchief in front of a gentleman who would pick it up, ask them to dance, and send them flowers the next day. How marvellous if we should all be guilty of doing something wicked, just for once, Kitty said softly, drawing 5 pairs of eyes to settle on her person. A wild idea had taken over her good sense, born of desperation. It was dredged from a place beyond logic or reason. Kitty knew who the desires in her heart were for, though they were not traditional desires. Alexander Masters, the reclusive Duke of Thornton. He was the solution to turning around her family fortunes. Well, Kitty thought convincing society she was the fiance of a man she had never met was the solution. In their world, success depended on those one knew. How powerful and prestigious those connections were. Vouchers for Almacs, invitations to balls, the opera, and the theatre were all provided on the strength of how well known in society one was, and Kitty desperately needed that power to secure suitable matches for her sisters. She couldn't abide the notion of her 3 darling sisters, Anna, Henrietta, and Judith, withering away as Kitty had done because of their poor connections and non-existent wealth. The patronage of a duke would undoubtedly open the most eminent doors to her family. Their desperate plight had already seen Anna working as a lady's companion and having to fend off the unwanted advances of a lecherous scoundrel. The country cottage they had been relegated to after Papa's heir had claimed his estate was in dire need of repairs. Mamma's widow's portion allowed only for the hiring of a cook and the barest appearance of gentility. And Kitty, being the eldest, was expected to secure a well-connected match. Kitty stood, smoothing away the imaginary wrinkles of her rose-coloured gown. Tonight she had worn her most elegant dress, and not one gentleman had been kind enough to ask her to dance. There were too many more ladies with appealing dowries in attendance at Countess Musgrove's ball. It is time for us to do more than wait for someone to gain the courage and ask to court us, not when we are so inferior in our connections and ranks. Her friend's curious eyes rested on Kitty's face, capturing every nuance of her expression, perhaps analysing the fierce determination in her tone. We can no longer afford to fade into the ballroom walls. We need to be more than wallflowers. Thank heavens, this meeting had revealed itself to be a validation of her prayers. Kitty had honestly thought she'd have to hide the wicked leanings in her heart, the only solution she had envisioned for getting out of the genteel poverty in which she, her 3 younger sisters, and her mother lived. Miss Emma Prendergast wrinkled her nose, her dark grey eyes unusually sombre, quite at odds with her cheerful mannerisms and humorous charm. I am 23, and have had 4 seasons because of the generosity of my godmother. I have never been thought of as more than a wallflower, she said wistfully, the ache for more evident on her face. We have been biddable and dutiful daughters and sisters, and that has gotten us nowhere, Marianne continued. Everyone stood, and the excitement that filled the air was electric. We must commit to pool our resources.